Hey gamers, we're back with another episode of Let's Create a Competitive Card Game. And in this episode, we'll be coming up with the first few effects for the follower card. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so last episode we came up with the final effects for the guild specific skill cards. As usual, I'll go ahead and put a link to that video up here for anyone who wants to see what those effects and or art descriptions were. Also, the artist has went ahead and sent over 2 new concepts. She typically sends those over on Mondays. However, she did just send those today, so we will also be taking a look at some new concept art. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the first effect for the first mind follower. Alright, so again, just to reiterate what the Mind Guild does, and more specifically what the Magician class does in the first set. In this set, Magicians focus on bounce effects, so their primary focus is making things disappear or bouncing your opponent's cards. Therefore, a lot of the effects for Magicians will focus on bouncing cards. So for the first effect, the effect that I came up with was when this card is destroyed, return all followers to their owner's hands. And this effect is supposed to be on, I guess, what you'd call a boss creature for the Magicians. So essentially, if your opponent destroys this, the entire play area is cleared. Now, the art description which I came up for this card was a magician is dying and everyone he's fighting is disappearing. And it should really say everyone is disappearing, as the effect does bounce your cards as well, or your followers as well. Now, moving on to the second mind specific effect. The effect is when this card attacks alone, your opponent must return one follower they control to their hand. And this is good if your opponent is only using, say, 2 creatures. Maybe they're playing warriors and they're using the effects which they only get if only one is in play at a time. So this is good for thinning out the opponent's defenses. Now, the art description which I gave the artist was that I wanted a magician getting into a fight with 2 people and one of them starting to disappear. So a lot of the art descriptions will focus on cards disappearing. Now, the final effect for the mind followers which I came up with was whenever this card is destroyed, your opponent must return one non-companion card from play to their hand. So again, another bounce effect. So we have 2 effects which happen when a card is destroyed. One bounces everything and the other bounces one non-companion card which your opponent chooses. So the art description which I gave the artist, I really couldn't think of an art description, so I just told her that when this magician dies, something is disappearing in the image. So that is pretty general, and I am going to be interested in seeing what she draws for them. Now, something that I actually didn't do is I didn't assign a cost and attack and defense. Now, a few episodes ago, we did do a cost benefit analysis. So based on the effects, I can start assigning a cost. And I did assign a general cost to every type of card, whether that be a follower, companion, skill, talent, whatever. There is a inherent cost for every card, which I did not actually put into the cost benefit analysis. But still, with the cost benefit analysis and knowing that inherent value, I can technically start coming up with the costs for cards and also increasing that cost based on the attack and defense, as attack and defense are considered benefits for a card. However, something I need to think about is how the 2 ability points will play along with the cost of cards. So the talent and skill points, as each guild has a primary focus on a particular ability point, or has an even focus depending on which guild. However, most cards will require uh, both types of ability points, or rather I should say more powerful cards will require both types of ability points. And the way I see it is that if, say, mine primarily focuses on let's say talent points, um, if a card requires skill points, then that card will add more potential benefits to the card. So it will increase the cost more, which means that the card will also have more benefits. Alright, so that is all for the follower effects, and what I'll do now is I'll go over the art description for the two cards which the artist has provided, or the two concepts. So the artist did provide concepts for cards 20 and 21, and the effects were, they were both life relics, and the effects were, the first one is once per turn during your turn, you may send a card you control to the discard pile to gain life equal to that card's attack or defense. And the art description, which I gave the artist, was that I wanted a group of clerics sacrificing an unwilling cleric. And the other concept that she sent over was for card 21, and the effect was each time you draw a card, you gain 2 life. And it's when you draw a card or cards. And to further explain this effect, if a card effect says draw a card, you gain 2 life. If a card effect says draw in a number of cards, you still only gain 2 life. And the art description which I gave the artist was that I wanted a cleric in a room of ancient books reading. So what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and hop over to Photoshop and reveal the concept arts for those cards. Alright, so this is the initial concepts for Relic 20, and I have already taken a look at these, obviously. The one that I am going to choose is the first one, as this is a little bit different, and you can see that there is a statue, maybe some god that they are probably sacrificing this cleric to. So it looks like there's someone here with a knife in their hand, probably about to stab this guy. Now, in this concept, this guy looks like he is willingly submitting to this, and I did want it to be unwillingly. So yeah, I'm gonna have to wait to see how this kind of turns out in the second concept. Now, I didn't pick the second one as it appeared very a pirates on a ship walk the plank type thing, and that's not really how I see clerics in this game. And as far as the third one, I did like this concept actually. I like this a lot. However, I kind of like the first one more, with the whole statue to kind of show why they are sacrificing this cleric. Alright, so what am I expecting from the next concepts of Relic 20? Essentially the exact same thing. I'm expecting the artist to add color and a lot more detail to these images. And I have had a conversation with the artist, as if you guys recall, for I want to say Relic 13 or 14, I didn't really like how the second concept was. However, I do understand her reasoning for sending concepts like that with not as much detail, and I do kind of trust her to add the detail. So if she does send concepts like that in the future, I will accept them and then see how the third concept is, and just have her redo the third concepts, as opposed to adding more detail to the second concepts if I don't really like where that's going to begin. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and take a look at the initial concept for Relic 21. Alright, so Again, the art description which I gave the artist was that I wanted a cleric in a library reading, and the library should have ancient books in it. So looking at all of these initial concepts, really the only one that gives me a impression of the cleric being in a library is actually the third one, as it seems like she may be sitting uh, in a chair or maybe in the middle of the aisle or something, and these appear to be bookshelves here. Now the second image is just, I guess, a cleric reading a book. You can't really see if she's in a library or not. And the first concept, actually, now that I'm looking at it again, these could be bookshelves here. Maybe she's standing in front of it, but my initial impression of this was that she was maybe leaning out of a window, reading a book. I don't know why I thought that looking at this the first time, but that was the first impression. So I did tell the artist to proceed with the third one. And what am I expecting from the second Relic 21 concept? As usual, the same thing, her to add color and to add detail. And since I really do like her art, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be satisfied, regardless of if the second concept is lacking detail. I feel that in the final concept, I will be satisfied. Alright, so yeah, this is the end of this episode, and while it was not supposed to be a card art episode, it did sort of turn into that, I guess, somewhat. So what will happen next episode for the original episodic series is I'll be going ahead and coming up with some more effects for the mind followers. And hopefully the artist will send second concepts on Monday again. I'm not sure if she will, as she did just send these today. So yeah, if you like these videos, be sure to like, subscribe, and all of that other good stuff. Thanks.